welcome to part 2! Yeah, use the fucking metal horns right there. Dio, we love you! This is AlphaOmegaSin with another video game pickups, a continuation type thing. This is all the retro gaming stuff that I got. Again, it's been a long ass time since I did my last video game pickups, and I accumulated a ton of shit since then. So the very first thing I'm going to go and show before I get into all the games, because I was like, you know what, fuck it, and I can include this with retro gaming, because frankly, old school motherfucker! That's right. Yes, I might be a big-time metalhead. I might listen to some of the most deranged and fucked up music in the entire world. But, yes, I love me some motherfucking Pokemon, and it's all of the original Pokemon. You know, the fucking 3 starters and fucking Pikachu, Bulbasaur, Squirtle, motherfucking Pikachu, Charmander, Char! Hell yeah! So I saw that, I was real fucking excited, so I picked it up. I just thought it was cool as shit, so yeah, I'll add that to my wardrobe. I just thought that was something interesting, so yeah. There's that! So, oh, and I'll go and toss this out there too, because fuck it, why not? I did an unboxing of this recently, and I was like, you know what? It is technically retro. Game & Watch! And it's Ball! Yes, very fucking basic, but it's the very first Game & Watch thing that Nintendo ever released, and this, you know, this is like the predecessor to the whole Game Boy lineup that they did, but this came from Club Nintendo. I had saved up my coins for a long-ass time, over the course of 2 years, as a matter of fact, and I finally was able to go and accumulate enough to go pick this up, and got this bad motherfucker right here, and it's pretty damn cool, so if you want to go and check out that video, you can. It's just recent upload, so it won't be hard to find, but yeah, Ball. Very fucking cool stuff, considering the fact it's, you know, a freebie from them, essentially. I'm not complaining whatsoever. Now, this is going to be a very Nintendo-centric episode, because it's like, I came across the fucking motherload and got really lucky at this one store, because it's boxed N64 games out the ass, out the nose, pick an orifice, it's just game boxes shooting the fuck out, and hopefully not being covered in some kind of fucking person goop. So, where do we begin? Where do we begin? Let's begin right here. Bomberman, Bomberman, mass destruction across the land, makes a bomb any size, he is yours to customize. It's Bomberman. Also, that jingle is obviously a parody of the Spider-Man one, but the Bomberman 64 commercial was awesome, and honestly was the reason why I ended up renting this game from a grocery store, and I liked the shit out of it a whole bunch, but, you know, over the course of time, I got the game, then I traded it away, and I never got it back, and, well, now I do have it back. Bomberman 64 is just a lot of fucking fun. If you've ever played the Bomberman games, they're all essentially the same thing. You're inside, like, a big-ass area, and it's you versus, like, 3 or more people. And if you have, like, Saturn Bomberman, it's, like, up to 10 people. That shit is just nuts. I was like, oh my god, that's a lot. That's mass chaos right there. But you get power-ups, and you basically just try to kill everybody. That's it, and last person standing wins. Huzzah! Well, this added an adventure mode, like a 3D adventure mode, so that was new to the series at the time. It's got its own storyline stuff, but it's a lot of fun. It's just one of those games, I cannot tell you, if you like action adventure type games, Bomberman 64 is something at least to go and check out. It is very cool, and there's also Bomberman Hero and what is it, Second Attack? I can't remember the other Bomberman 64 title name, but there are more, so you should go and check them out. They're really good. And Hudson, we fucking miss you! You got swallowed up, and we're not getting any more Bomberman love, and that fucking sucks. There's also that fucking failed abortion on Xbox 360. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking with that, and it's just like, oh my god, wow, that was a lot of PCP. You shouldn't have taken it. You should have just sold it, you fucking nutjob. Anyway, so these two I'm just going to have together because there's no point in separating them and talking about them, because it's like same exact thing. Castlevania 64, which it isn't actually called Castlevania 64, it's just Castlevania, but I fucking hate that they do that. It's like, no, Castlevania, what the fuck were you thinking? Castlevania's on NES, how dare you? This is fucking confusing people, just like what they do with movies and whatnot. And then Castlevania Legacy of Darkness, which is just kind of like a director's cut, and they fixed some of the problems with this and added in a whole bunch of shit. But the same problems are still very evident in both titles. You know, it's like graphically this one looks better, so that's kind of nice, and it is a longer game and it is better, but that's not really saying a whole lot because they just didn't have a full grasp of 3D at that point. Whenever you got like was it Lament of Innocence and Curse of Darkness and stuff, and like the much newer ones, like Lords of Shadow and stuff, you know, those ones are done in 3D and done very well, whereas these ones, they had no fucking clue what they were doing. There was also that one that was coming out for Dreamcast and ended up getting canned, which was kind of unfortunate, because I was looking forward to that. But yeah, I'm a long-time Castlevania fan. I had Castlevania 1 when it came out, and, you know, Symphony of Night being my all-time favorite, and I understand a lot of people are, like, kind of iffy about that, because it's got that Metroid style, but, yeah, I went to go and pick these up, and I have not played much of this one, to be honest. I know shit about it, I just haven't played much of it. I played this one, I never beat it because I just could not get into it, so I'm hoping maybe this one will be a lot better and give that one a go, and hopefully it turns out to be pretty darn good. Now, I had played through Resident Evil 1 recently, and everybody seemed to like that a whole bunch, and if you did tune into that, thank you a whole bunch. Most appreciated! And you got to see me with the Master of Unlocking, Jill motherfucking Valentine. Well, something I will play through, and that is a fucking promise, is Resident Evil 2. Will it be the 64 version? Probably not, but being the Resident Evil fan that I am, I've actually wanted to collect all the Resident Evil games. All of them. I'm talking like every version of Resident Evil that they ever released from every region. I didn't give a fuck. It's just like one of those things that I was like, that's what I want to do. Fuck it. I don't give a shit. That's really all. But this was like, it was an absolute milestone whenever they released this, because it was like, you fit 2 CDs worth of a big-ass game onto one cartridge. Holy fuck, that's amazing. And they did it well. The only thing that's kind of fucked up about it is, like, you know, the cutscenes and stuff, but that's really about it, and that's because they had to do, like, super duper ultra, like, sell your soul compression to get that shit to fit on there. But it's Resident Evil 2. You play as Leon or you play as Claire, and you run around. I always played as Leon. Leon got much better weapons than Claire did. That's just a fact. And I'd much rather hang out with Ada than Sherry. Unless we're talking about Sherry from Resident Evil 6, and that's different. But, you know, point stands, Ada was just a cooler character. And Sherry was slow as fucking shit. I'm just like, bitch, fucking move it. You're a little kid. You ought to be zipping around and stuff. But Mr. X, he's really fucking cool. I like the original version of Mr. X a little bit more, though. But arguably the best Resident Evil of the entire series, the only one I could say is even comparable within the entire franchise, is the Resident Evil Remake on GameCube and Nintendo Wii. But yeah, if you have not played this, I think there's a sale right now on the PlayStation Network, or you could go and get the Resident Evil 6 like Super Duper Collector's Edition that includes on there. You can go get the actual versions of it. There's lots of options. Just play the original Resident Evils. They're fucking amazing. Whether you're playing on 64, Dreamcast, PlayStation 1, on PC, on the fucking Tiger Gamecom, which if you are, you're masochistic as shit. That I can assure you. Now, something I've had on my brain for a long time, because I'm like, I wonder when they're going to release it for Wii U, huh? Then I saw it and I'm like, oh my god, wow, complete in box, that's amazing. Bam! Super Smash Bros. Bros? Super Smash Bros? Come on, bro! Super Smash Brothers was such a fucking fantastic idea. What interesting though, it didn't start off with a bunch of Nintendo characters. That was kind of just thrown in to test it out, and then they decided to go and keep with that very idea. That's a bunch of Nintendo franchise characters, because they thought that'll get it recognized a lot more, and it did. Let's go and check out on the back. We got Donkey Kong, we got Samus, we got Captain Falcon, Falcon Punch, we got Kirby, we got Link, we got Pikachu, we got more. Basically, it's the main roster of Nintendo franchise characters, and naturally, it got bigger and better with, you know, the later additions to the series and stuff, with Melee and Brawl and stuff. But this is where it all started. This is like the series, and it's a very basic fighting game. I know there's like hardcore elitist fighting fans that are like, fuck that game, oh man, that shit's too easy and blah blah blah. Despite the fact that it's a very simple game, it's got a lot of depth to it. That much I can assure you 100%. You know, you may think it's simple, but once you get into those matches, and always play this in 4-player, by the way, for the love of God, playing this against like 3 computer opponents is not satisfying and just makes me want to turn it off. So get 4-player going on this shit, and pretty much you have like one of the best games on 64 when it comes to like party games. So yeah, there you go. Let's see. One of the best snowboarding games, one of the best racing games on the Nintendo 64, which is saying something, because it's got 1080 snowboarding, which is fantastic, and it's also got this, and it's got Mario Kart and some other games. Put it this way, there's a whole ton. But anyway, Snowboard Kids, really, really good. There's also part 2, but that one is extremely hard to find. But Atlas! Again, anytime I see Atlas, I'm like, oh, that's awesome! Wait, Atlas doing a racing game? What fucking universe is this? Like some alternate weird fucking psychedelic dimension stuff, like some Twilight Zone shit where Atlas is making competent racing games? Wow. Well, publishing at least. Snowboard Kids, really fucking good game. And do not look at the cover and think, okay, these big fucking schnozzed little fucking chibi looking characters could not be fun to play as. Fuck all that. Outside of their design, you are going to see an extremely fun game with great control and really fucking kick-ass level design, and that's exactly what you want out of a racing game. Good control, good level design, and the graphics are really good. There isn't like a bunch of fucking screen tearing, there isn't a bunch of fog and stuff, you know, it's got good draw distance and all that shit, and it's a pretty fast game. So you ought to go and check it out because it's really fucking good, that's all I can say. There's not much else to add in addition to that. But, you know, speaking of racing games, Cruising the World. Played this a lot more in arcade, I'll be completely honest. The only time I played this was on a fucking ROM. I played Cruising USA and stuff like that, and this I was like, wow, Cruising the World, awesome, let's see what it says on the back. Play the new championship mode to earn power-ups and secret cars. Take in scenery from 14 courses around the world. Choose from 12 different cars. 4-player simultaneous racing. Compatible with the Rumble Pack accessory. Trademark logo, of course. Back when Rumble was new. But yeah, it's just a basic-ass racing game. You know, this doesn't have like all the novelties, all the fucking gimmicks and stuff. This is just a straight-up racer. Start to finish, that's it. True, you know, exotic cars and shit like Lamborghinis and Ferrari and well, you know, they look like them at least, and then just go fucking tearing down the road. That's pretty much it. But it's a fun game. That's all that there is to it, because it's like, again, with a racing game, I just want to be able to control well, look well, and not fuck up and stutter on me and mess up, and that does it pretty fucking well. So there you go. But and lots of racing here. I do apologize if it seems like there's too many, but this is hands down the best racing game on it. And people argue, no, Mario Kart's better, and, you know, there's some other games that people would bring up, but I say no, it's not, because I'm holding FZero X, and nothing beats the FZero series in terms of racing. It is my all-time favorite racing series, hands down. This game right here has one of my all-time favorite video game soundtracks. If you get bored, just type in FZero X music or FZero X guitar range, mostly just type in guitar range, and jam the fuck out to that shit. It is amazing. They just shred. I'm like, oh my god, it is amazing. But this game, from going from F-Zero, which, you know, for its time, is an amazing game, which I also ended up getting on a little virtual console on the Wii U. 30 cents. I was like, dude, alright, fuck it, whatever, I'll do that. But going from that to this game was meant to be in 3D and fucking gigantic loops, hitting gigantic jumps, and just going at the speed of light. And there's so many racers on screen. It is so fun. It is so kick-ass. Going through like big-ass tubes, just spinning around and stuff. Trying like a motherfucker not to blow up. You're like, oh my god, need to replenish my health. And off you go. I can say one thing and admit this. I've never played as anybody else other than Captain Falcon. I've never once played as anybody else because I've had no need to. I was Captain Falcon. Who else would you fucking play as? The only time I would is if they put Speed Racer in, because Speed Racer is the fucking man too. That would be one of the coolest fucking things if they put that, give like a Mach 5 version of an F-Zero car. Oh man, amazing. Seriously, fantastic title. It's just awesome. There's nothing else to add to that. It is just awesome. It's just, there you go. That's all that there is to it. Being a big Star Wars fan that I am, Rogue Squadron. This game came out everybody was just like, holy shit, look at that. It looks like the movie. And a lot of people were like, you know, on a big Star Wars high because we had new Episode 1 and stuff like that coming out. And, you know, they were doing re-releases of the Star Wars movies and stuff that looked all fucking super pretty. But then we got something like this in our hands, and it was just amazing. Going and flying around through space as like an X-Wing or a fucking Y-Wing and shit like that. Well, pilot X-Wings, Y-Wings, A-Wings, V-Wings, tons of just random letters and then wings on it. And snow speeders with powerful weapons and 15+ missions. Battle TIE fighters, TIE bombers, Imperial shuttles, AT-AT walkers, AT-STs, which I honestly do not know which ones those are. I may love Star Wars a whole lot, but I do not know everything about it. And other challenging foes. Settings include oceans, forests, volcanic regions, desert canyons, and beyond with both daylight and nighttime missions. High-quality graphics include detailed 3D crafts, real-time lighting, and, well, frankly, that right there was the thing that let you know that, like, oh my god, this game looks so fucking awesome. It needs the expansion pack. Bam! And there you go. So it's just one of those cool games. Like if you like flight simulation type games and you like racing type games and just action games and stuff like that, this is definitely worth picking up because it's Star Wars and that's gnarly. You know, we'll go with this one next just because fuck it, that's why. More racing games! Star Wars Episode 1, and it is awesome. As a matter of fact, they had, what was it? They had the one Nintendo 64 system that came with this, like right out of the box, which is pretty damn cool. Fuel the Force, 600 miles per hour, 4 feet off the ground. Join Jedi to be Anakin Skywalker in the Star Wars race of your life. Relive all the thrill and excitement of the pod racer sequence from Star Wars Episode 1. And they are right about this. Like, when you're playing this game, it gives you a feeling of playing Wipeout. That's what that was the thing that I kept on thinking about the entire time while playing this was, this is like Wipeout, but with Star Wars shit. There you go. So if you've ever played the Wipeout games, that's what this is like. You know, you're just hovering above shit, and you're just flying at the fucking speed of light. It is extremely badass. You could also compare it to F-Zero, but again, F-Zero being like the shit, nothing beats it. But this is definitely something that could contend with it on the Nintendo 64. If you want to have like a list of best racers, this I would put up there. Just really, really kick-ass game. You should go and check that out. Let's see. Yoshis Story! I like that a whole lot. Yoshis Story, what's kind of cool about this was I bought just a box. I already had the game, but I didn't have it complete. And dude he had like a stack of boxes, and just I turned them into complete games. And I was like, hey, cool, whatever. So yeah, got that right there. So Yoshi's Story, pretty fucking complete, makes me happy. Oh, give it a kiss, man, it likes that, and a little tongue action. Oh, let's save for later. Also, that might damage the box, so maybe I shouldn't do that. And also, that's just nasty. So, hang on. Yoshi's Story, and they have a new Yoshi's Story coming out, which is extremely cool. But whenever this came out, I'll be honest, I didn't like the game when it first came out. I was just like, fuck this game. And I was off playing other shit. I was like, nah, I'm good. That shit's lame, blah, blah, blah. I also felt the same way about Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. I just didn't dig both of those games. But then when I got older, I looked back and started playing them like, these games are really good. What was I thinking? Yoshi's Story, really good platformer, and it's like it seems like it should be insanely easy, but gets real fucking hard out of nowhere on some stages. Innovative graphics give the look and feel of handmade materials and 24 fully textured and rendered courses. Yoshi comes alive, filled with a personality made possible by the animation and sounds of the Nintendo 64 system. Fantastic play control with all the familiar Yoshi moves. Rumble Pack compatible. Rumble Pack sold separately, of course. And the story goes like this. Baby Bowser has taken a super happy tree and cast a spell in Yoshi's world. It's super happy tree. That's fucking hilarious. One, that sounds way too cutesy. Two, he's taken a super happy tree. Baby Bowser stole all my fucking pot, man. I had like 2 fucking cuts in there. That motherfucker, man, that shit was fucking great and he fucking took it. We're gonna track him down and whoop his candy ass. So anyway, let's see, turning it all into the pages of a picture book. He turned weed into a picture book? That's like some fucking crazy hemp magic. The only Yoshis not affected by the spell were 6 hatchlings that were still protected by their shells. It's up to them to reclaim the super happy tree. And restore happiness to the world. you know, basically fucking firing one up. And this is the only thing that can break Baby Bowser's spells. So Baby Bowser is a fucking douchebag and Yoshi has to put him in his place. What he should do is just go all fucking cannibalistic, eat the motherfucker, and then spit him out as a fucking fireball. And that's pretty much that. And he goes into the atmosphere, never to be seen again. Because Yoshi's a bad motherfucker. That's all there is to it. Also, in Mario Kart, you know who I always pick? Yoshi! Yoshi's just fucking cool. I fucking love the shit out of him. Let's see. Oh, right here. One of the first games for the Ultra 64. Pilotwings 64. This was just one of those games, like, I like it, but it's not one of those things, like, I immediately think of whenever I'm, like, talking about, you know, games on Super Nintendo and Nintendo 64, or, hell, even on Nintendo 3DS. And I'm like, oh my god, you gotta play this! Pilotwings is just a very laid-back game. It really is. Like, it's probably, like, one of the most chill-out, just fucking, like, fly-around type games. It is just very kind of, like, slow-paced. And you're like gliding around and flying around, just taking in the scenery and shit, and trying to make sure you land on your mark, or go through shit and make sure you hit your time limit. And despite the fact that it's on a time limit, it's still laid back, which is kind of fucking weird, but I mean, they do it, and they do it well. So, it's Pilotwings 64. It's like a very fucking casual flight sim. That's the best way to say it. The control's good. Graphically, for its time, it looked pretty good. Now, it looks kind of shit, but, you know, what the fuck ever. Most things on Nintendo 64, like, first wave, kind of end up looking like shit over time, but who knows? They might end up making, like, a nicer version of this. And I can always guarantee that somebody's going to retexture the fucking ROM of it on the Nintendo 64 page and just fucking, you know, do it up that way. They've done it with so many other games, so why not? But yeah, Pilotwings 64. Get in or get out. Now, when you think of multiplayer, you know, and I'll just, yeah, fuck it. When I think of multiplayer on the Nintendo 64, you know what comes to mind? Besides GoldenEye. Its successor, Perfect Dark. Oh my god, when Perfect Dark came out, people were just losing their shit. I mean, GoldenEye is a big fucking deal. This was also just as big of a deal, because, I mean, it was more of what we all wanted, and then some. Like, it was GoldenEye Plus. And they even added in some of the multiplayer stages from GoldenEye, which was really fucking cool. But you take on Joanna Dark, and unfortunately, she went on to go and do Perfect Dark Zero, which everybody went, oh. Can you go back to being awesome? That'd be fantastic. Like, genuinely, you would have, like, my gratitude 100%. So stop doing that and do more of this. Perfect Dark Zero? No. This? Yes. So, it's a first-person shooter, mission-based. You know, you can go sneak around and fucking go and take people out and fucking pop them in the back of the head and shit. The multiplayer mode is pretty much where it's at. 4 players, split screen, that's the shit. Everybody's like, I'm gonna go online and play games. No. I want 4 controllers, I want motherfuckers in a room with me, and we're just tearing shit up. That's how I want it. If I could fucking have, like, System Link, I would do it. But Perfect Dark just... It is an extremely kick-ass game. It's a lot of fun. I like it a whole bunch. Laptop gun, that's all I can say. You ever face me in a fucking multiplayer match in Perfect Dark, I'm going to run around with a laptop gun, and I'm going to own the fuck out of you. Or remote mines, because that shit is hilarious. Like, pop them onto a door and just wait there and somebody's coming through. And they're just like, fuck you! And it's like, you're dead. That makes me laugh. So, yeah. Great game. I mean, if you know anything about, excuse me. If you know anything about, like, GoldenEye and stuff like that, then, you know, there you go. You have Perfect Dark. It's essentially more of the same, except for, obviously, it doesn't have the 007 license. But it is a lot of fun. The one-player mode is extremely satisfying, just going through all different stages and stuff, sneaking around. You know, the harder objectives are on the harder modes and stuff, the easier that the difficulty is, the less that you have to do, the less people come after you, the less hits it takes for them. But it is, again, it's just a really fun game. You should play it. If you haven't for whatever reason, I would just say, you're insane! Now, when Nintendo 64 came out in 1996, and I was a young lad, and I got it for Christmas that year, and my loving mother went out of her way to find it, and she found one left. One. Out of all these different stores, she found one Nintendo 64 console, the one game she tried getting for me the entire time, but was sold out everywhere. Was the big, badass motherfucker Mario 64. Super Mario 64 is still an amazing game, which, you know, it has been ported onto the DS and stuff, but I like playing it on my Nintendo 64. just the very first time that it was, you know, everybody has seen Mario in 3D for the longest time, but when you're a little kid for the first time and you see that 3D world and you're moving the camera around, you're like... I stayed outside of the princess's castle at the very beginning of the game for the longest time because I was just excited that I'm moving around in 3D. Like, it brought back that joy of when I was little when I first played Super Mario as my very first game. So, you know, having that, it's just, it's a very good game. You know, by today's standards, you know, graphics, they don't look that great. The camera is kind of shit and stuff. But that does not mean that this game is any less fun. It's still very worth playing, worth adding to your collection, and just, it's Super Mario 64. You'd have to be high on every fucking form of fucking, like, drug-related material, including all the shit that you could fucking huff, inject fucking drink underneath the fucking kitchen sink to think that is a bad game. I will tell you that flat out without fucking question. Fuck you if you think otherwise. It is Mario 64, motherfuckers. Mario 64. Bam! Awesome. So, what do we move on to next? Well, a classic from the NES days and was revived, and most people were pretty shocked by it because they didn't think they'd ever see it again. Excitebike 64. And this came out at a good time because at the time, you know, extreme racing was really big, you know, extreme sports in general were really big, motocross being one of them. So they took the entire thing of what made Excitebike a really good game, which essentially was its, was the level creator. The level creator was the reason why everybody fucking played. And nobody can fucking say otherwise. It was a level creator creating, like, shit that did not make any sense, like, or go through this track and stuff, and it's like... Well, they did that with this, but the thing is, you know, obviously it's a lot bigger, it's a lot more expansive. You know, they have more options whenever it comes to, like, the stage designs, and the one-player mode is a lot better. That was one thing that I didn't like about the original Excitebike, was that the one-player mode was lacking. It was all about just playing with a friend and you know, making stages and shit like that. So they did that up pretty fucking well in there, and that's back when they had the Nintendo 64 Sports thing, and they were really pushing that. So I thought that was pretty cool, and it's just nice to be able to go and own this finally, instead of renting it from Blockbuster back in the fucking day. So yeah, got my hands on that. That's kind of nice. That's very nice, very nice. So this big ass fucking box, look at this shit, and that's because it came with a Rumble Pack, because this is when the Rumble Pack was new, and people were like, I can't fucking believe, oh my god, it's like an explosion's really happening, oh my god, and oh man, whenever you get hit, you can actually feel it in the controller, shit's amazing. Well, it was a big deal at the time, and they included it with Star Fox 64, which ironically, Star Fox 3, you should seriously find a Super Nintendo emulator and play Star Fox 2, or a reproduction cartridge, because people have started making those, and they kick tons of ass. But Star Fox 64 was another one of the very first titles I had seen and was like, I need to play through that. Going and flying through all those different rings, and our fucking Slippy who's just fucking, like, losing its shit. Slippy just losing its mind, and then I'm being told to do a barrel roll, and then we can just have fucking endless memes for the internet to enjoy for a couple years solid. Well, Star Fox 64 allowed for that, and it was everything Star Fox had, but bigger and bigger and better. That's what it really was. So you went from Star Fox to this, and while Star Fox was, you know, it was amazing because it was doing 3D on Super Nintendo, this was doing it properly and then some. It's just flat out amazing. And then we got the other Star Fox games, and also you can get this on a 3DS. It's kind of nice 3DS has gained some proper good ports, but yeah, so check out 64 on 3DS. It's Star Fox. You fly around and you shoot the living shit out of a bunch of stuff and you face off against gigantic bosses and shit. It's amazing and a lot of fun. I like it. Now, this I want to say for last out of the box Nintendo 64 stuff, because this was the one that when I saw it, and for how cheap I got all this stuff, and I couldn't believe that this was included, I was just like, I think I pooped a little from excitement. Yeah, I'll just go and change later. Smelly motherfucker. It's Conkers Bad Motherfucking Fur Day. There's no motherfucking in there, but if there was, well, it wouldn't be all that surprising because this game gave zero fucks whatsoever. They were like, we're gonna push it to the limit. Yeah, limit! Conkers Bad Fur Day, which, if you know the history of the game, it started off as a traditional platforming game, was cutesy and happy and bright and colorful, and then Rare was like, you know what? No. No, squash that shit. Let's make this mature rated and just not give a fuck. There's gonna be tons of swearing and vulgarity and stuff like that. We're gonna have like lots of fucking dick and fucking piss and fart and boob references and stuff like that. They didn't care, and it paid off because the game was really kick-ass. It was a lot of fun. The multiplayer mode in it is also a lot of fun. Very violent, makes a lot of movie references that might be outdated by today's standards, but, you know, is still really fucking cool. I mean, it references Clockwork Orange. If you've ever watched that, you know it's a fantastic movie. It also referenced Matrix. So at least it was referencing movies that have stood the test of time, so it's got that working in its favor. Graphically, it put to shame pretty much everything on the Nintendo 64. That's the truth. This game is just beautiful. You know, they did like the HD version on Xbox. I'm telling you, I still think this is a vastly superior title by comparison. It's just, if you play them back to back, this one is better. But they're either are worth owning. That's really the truth. If you can play it, I would suggest this one, but this one a little bit harder to find. So, but still, it's a great game. If you like platforming games with a lot of humor, if you want a big gigantic mountain of shit with fucking corn for teeth and singing about it being a big piece of shit and it's going to go and kill you and throw its poo at you, then there you go, you have that, and that is like one of the most fucking famous things in it. Or if you want to go and try to help out a sunflower that needs your help, and then all of a sudden it's got some big ass bouncing titties, and it's just like, and you have to jump on them. It's like, this is fucking ridiculous. And you play as a fucking lush. The dude's drunk as shit. And he's really awesome. All the fucking stuff that he says, it's really funny. And the game, it's self-aware. It knows what's happening. And the humor, again, is really high up there. You know, in the first part of the pickups video when I was talking about, you know, Lego City Undercover, was listing off all the funniest games. There you go, right there. Now, move on to these three games. I'm just going to include as one thing because, quite frankly, I have to thank Sonic's Genesis Collection or the Mega Drive Collection, you know, if you're over in the PAL regions. When I was playing through it, I was like, oh my god, some of these games I've just never played before and never had my hands on, and because of that game, I picked them up. Alright, Fatal Labyrinth. It's a dungeon crawler. I like this game a lot. This actually, I poured a lot of time into this game. It gave me that feeling of Diablo. You're just running around through dungeons, killing shit, and getting gear and stuff. It's very cool for that reason alone. eSwap, which is a game my brother had whenever I was younger, but I didn't give a shit about whatsoever and didn't really fucking ever play. But then I played it on the Sonic Genesis Collection and was like, you know, game's not too bad. It's kind of cool. It gives me a little feeling of RoboCop and stuff. Alright, whatever. But it's not perfect by any means, but it was still kind of cool. And Shadow Dancer, which I admittedly picked this up because it was $3. I was just like, dude, awesome. The Shinobi explosion is back. The master of stealth and death-dealing Arda Shuriken returns to avenge the murder of his friend Kato. Well, that sucks for Kato. It's a war with all the lightning-fast combat, evil menace, and magic of the arcade powerhouse. The ultimate evil Saurus is a crazed reptilian monster with the power to invoke cataclysmic catastrophes. That's a mouthful. That's what she said. His army of vicious ninjas controls the city as he summons sudden firestorms, earthquakes, and avalanches. There's a bunch more, but I don't feel like reading it back. Basically, you like the Shinobi games? There you go! You should be playing this, you silly motherfucker. But these, honestly, are because of the Sonic Genesis Collection. It was just kind of you know, get those games. And the one thing I always want to make a note of, I love the old Sega Genesis covers. Like the black grid design with the Genesis logo up there. I always thought that looked really cool. Like, you know, on the back, it wraps all the way around and looks cool. Whenever they changed that shit over to like the red design, I was like, boo, fuck this. Then the weak ass cardboard boxes, I'm like, no, what the fuck is wrong with you? And last but not least, I got this. This is something I've been wanting for a long time because I'm trying to get like every Batman game. And then eventually I want to like try to review the entire series. I just thought it'd be really cool. Well, Batman for Sega CD Complete. Now the box, it is kind of jacked up, which I didn't really mind. I was just happy that I had it in the box. I've played this game quite a few times, mostly on ROMs and stuff, but whenever my friend Gordon came down, he had the game, so we got to go and play it. It's hard as fuck because of those damn driving missions, but once you get past that and you start going into the 2D fucking beat the shit out of everything that you see and swing around and beat Batman and stuff, then the game, honestly, to me, gets a little bit easier. But It's absolutely amazing. Music is fucking awesome. It's based off the Tim Burton film, which, again, is very fucking kick-ass. If you've never seen the original Batman movie from 1989 or Batman Returns, you are doing yourself a great disservice, and you should check them out. They are extremely cool. But this was something, it's been on my want list for a long time. It's just always more than what I want to pay. So I finally won it in an auction for really fucking cheap, and I was like, yay! That's cool. So, yeah. Stunning 3D racing, strap yourself in for high-speed demolition with Sega CD zoom and scaling effects. Real sound effects. Simple sounds and voices bring the game to life. 3 unique games. Use a Batmobile, the Bat Ski Boat, which that sounds absolutely ridiculous, or Batman's might to wage war on Gotham City's ugly crime wave. Wonderful toys. Where does he get those wonderful toys? Counter villainous attacks with wrist shields, batarangs, and smoke bombs from Batman's utility belt. Even deadly swarms of bats, because frankly, Batman's utility belt has everything he will ever need at any given time. Also, Batman Brave and Bold. Shit turns into a sword. That's just fucking awesome. So yeah, got that for Sega CD. Makes me a very happy camper. So, oh, you know what? Let's go and end this with these. Grab these up. I had gotten lucky with some additional Nintendo Power magazines. A lot of really old ones, too. When I was out and about at half-price books, I came across them, and they were all $3 and $4 a piece. And I couldn't believe it. All of them are completely in mint condition, intact. I've read through 3 of them so far. The Mega Man one I showed you was the very first one I read through. And this is also one of the coolest covers ever in the entire world. And it goes from like realistic, and then everything starts changing into like 8-bit, into like a Tetris type world. I always thought that was really trippy stuff and thought it was unique. But you know, it's one of those things. I had read Nintendo Power a bunch whenever I was younger, and Billy from the Game Chasers, he talked about Nintendo Power a whole bunch whenever he was younger. The Angry Video Game Nerd had also talked about him a bunch. And it was just cool, kind of cool to hear other people talking about the same exact things that I read whenever I was younger, them being affected the same exact way. And, you know, whenever you're younger, you don't think, oh man, I should go and hold on to these. And now we're going back and fucking buying them up, but at least, you know, I'm getting them for like $3 and $4 and not paying a whole shit ton of money. So it's kind of nice to be able to have some of these. And Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, awesome cartoon, even more awesome game. So that is it. A bunch of Nintendo Power magazines, you know, relive my childhood memories. And it also helps because you end up finding like obscure games. You're like, that looks really cool. I'm going to go and pick that up. So very handy stuff. But again, it's been a long time coming, so this is part 2 of video game pickups. If you're watching this and you haven't checked out part 1 with all the modernized stuff, you know, from PlayStation 3, Wii U, Nintendo Wii, and a bunch of other stuff, then you should go check that out. The link will be down below and stuff like that. So anyway, I want to say thank you for tuning into this. It's been a long time coming, and I want to make sure there was a lot of fucking stuff, because there was a whole fucking ton. But anyway, this is AlphaOmegaSin, as always. Nerds, nerdettes, and gamers. Game the fuck on.